Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. I'm back. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. Andor Season 2 might have come to an end, but today we have some massive updates. We're gonna look at all of the news going on in the galaxy far, far away, and we begin with a huge win for the Tony Gilroy show. While the viewership for the final 3 episodes has yet to come in, Andor's second season has now reached number 2 on the streaming charts. Now just to tell you how huge this is, the first season famously suffered with viewership. As the months progressed, in late 2022, early 2023, it did start to gain a little bit of traction, but no one expected anything like this for season 2. We knew there were going to be tie-ins to Rogue One. We expected some wider connections, some more familiar faces, but still, it started the season not even charting, then it reached number 10, then number 4, and now number 2, just below the 4 seasons. So where's it gonna rank for the final 3 episodes? I'll let you guys know when the data comes in, but this is enormous. And the craziest part is that Lucasfilm and Disney are not flaunting this. This is a quiet but huge statistic going under the radar. Maybe it's because it's the final season, it's not being renewed, there is nothing after it, but I hope it makes them rethink a spin-off. Daniel Richmond started a rumor that maybe Bix is gonna get a series. Adria Arjona recently said she'd be down for it. She wants to know how Bix reacts to Cassian's death, and what's gonna happen to their son. A few people have asked me, what if it's a daughter? Tony Gilroy said it could be a boy or a girl, but the baby they used was a boy. Nonetheless, Andor's legacy lives, and the fandom has spoken. They love this show, and they want more Star Wars on this level of quality. Viewership is up nearly 50%, and the trajectory is even higher for episodes 10, 11, and 12. Like I said in my last video, with Andor Season 2 trending, fans calling upon a third Battlefront, the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith doing really well, Star Wars is experiencing a very rare but special moment. And it gets even better. Andor Season 2 is being considered for 23 categories of Emmy nominations, on top of writing, directing, costumes, voiceover work for Alan Tudyk, makeup, hairstyling, production design, and sound design. Some of these actors are finally getting the recognition they deserve. One name I really want to highlight for supporting actress is Elizabeth Dulao, Clea Markey. She's been fantastic, and it's been amazing to see Star Wars fans rally behind her and say this actress has such a bright future. But I've been a fan of her since season 1. And amazingly, she doesn't have a single acting credit to her name before 2020. Can you believe that? That is the definition of up and coming. She's been in some small productions, but I think this show is going to really put her on the map. Fingers crossed, she has an amazing career. She deserves it. And credit to casting director Nina Gold, who discovered her. My favourite bit of acting from Elizabeth Dulao, my favourite Clea scene, has to be right at the end of the finale on Yavin, when she wakes up in the morning, watching the rebel soldiers performing their duties, and seeing the rebellion she helped to build. That little smirk, that tiny piece of micro-acting, is what Tony Gilroy called the Mona Lisa of Andor. He is absolutely right, and she's a natural. The nuance to her acting across the various episodes, the mystique she was able to portray, I really want to see more of her, and I'm just so happy she survived. So those are a couple of major victories for Andor, but they're also a big victory for Star Wars in general, because since the show's come to an end, fans have gone back to rewatch Rogue One and A New Hope. But in doing this marathon rewatch of this what I call pseudo-trilogy, fans have come to an astonishing realization. The Death Star was only fully operational for less than a week. I'm serious, it turns out the terrifying symbol of Imperial power was only working for a few days before it was destroyed by the rebellion. The DS-1 orbital battle station that was 2 decades in the making, which Palpatine co-opted from the Geonosians, was way more short-lived than we thought. And the shot of Krennic in the Andor Season 2 finale made fans realize this. All of the work from Separatist influence to acquiring Kyber crystals, Project Stardust, the Gorman massacre, it was all for very little success, and many argue the destruction of the first Death Star was really the beginning of the end for the Empire. There are so many details which now hit differently, but some of my favourites are Cassian getting the phrase "rebellions are built on hope" from the Gorman bellhop. The reason that was so impactful is it stays in line with the show's message that anyone, from anywhere, the underdog, can make a difference, can have a lasting impact they may never know about. The character was called Thela, and here we have someone who on the face of it is just a Gorman bellhop. He works at a hotel in Palmo Plaza, but then he comes out with the story of what happened when he was 12, surviving the Tarkin massacre. This character delivered the speech that confirms that event happened. And it wasn't just a footnote for the Imperial Archives, this was experienced by a human being. This is someone who saw it happen and lost their father to the actions of the Imperial regime. The story which we knew from legends suddenly became personal, and it became real. Tarkin is such a grandiose figure in the Empire. He's often so feared, so mythologized, but here we have a real-life surviving Gorman who just a few feet away from the window of that hotel room saw Tarkin land his warship over protesters, taking the life of his parent. Some of the smaller details in this show are so underrated, but the way this changes how we see Rogue One and A New Hope is because Tarkin never appears in this show, but he is name-dropped, and that name evokes an immense amount of terror, similar to Palpatine or Vader, but those characters never appear. So when you go to watch the movies, and he appears in both Rogue One and Star Wars, you go in as a viewer with extra tension, extra animosity, because we now know so much more about his actions just before the films. So you look at him on screen and you're thinking, oh no, not this guy. This is one of the most evil people in Palpatine's regime. He's the guy responsible for killing so many Gorman protesters, had no issue landing his ship on 500 innocent people. It really does change your perception. Another interesting change I want to talk about seems like a minor one, but it came up the other day and I wanted to address it. The despicable Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba, who both feature as a cameo on Jeddah in Rogue One, later appear on Tatooine in A New Hope. And fans are realizing that means they survived the explosion on Jeddah City. The answer in canon is they got very lucky. Sadly, they just got away in time. And I say sadly because Dr. Evazan is one of the most despicable characters in the entire Star Wars universe. Do you ever wonder why he has the death sentence on 12 systems, as he tells Luke on Mos Eisley? It's because he was a sick and twisted doctor. He was someone too depraved even for Imperial standards. And I say this because he applied for Imperial Medical School, but got rejected due to being too deranged. If you're too deranged for the Empire, there is something very wrong with you, my friend. So you're probably wondering, well, what in the world did he do? What did he do to get the death sentence on that many systems? Dr. Evazan was responsible for one of the most atrocious medical procedures in the entire galaxy, the decraniated. By 10 BBY he was working for Crimson Dawn, and he turned unwilling participants into brainless, lobotomized servants. He transformed his victims using cybernetic technology to strip them of their identities. Then he sold them as servants. Going by the name Rufu to hide his real identity, Evazan called them cyberslaves. He was a very, very twisted man. It's very rare Disney Star Wars canon gives us a better backstory than the expanded universe for background characters, but I have to admit in this instance, the decraniated and his backstory in recent canon actually makes him a more terrifying character by the time of A New Hope. I do have to say though, watching Rogue One with these characters kind of shoehorned in after Andor is a bit jarring considering Andor does no fan service, but I do think it ties in quite well. Like I said, it's a bit of a pseudo-trilogy: Andor, Rogue One, A New Hope. But share your thoughts in the comments down below, my dear friends. What are some differences you notice? Are there things which are recontextualized after Andor? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.